Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 4. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Biakuru. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari tells Spanish investors to take advantage of Nigeria's 200 million consumer market. EFCC releases suspended accountant general on bail. Plus, crowds gather outside palace as Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee celebrations begin. Details of these stories and more in a moment. That President Muhammad Buhari has challenged Spanish investors to take advantage of Nigeria's tax-free environment and limitless expatriate quota at the nation's free trade zones to boost Nigeria-Spain trade and economic opportunities. He gave the charge at a business forum jointly organized by Spanish Chamber of Commerce, the Nigerian Ministry of Trade, and the Confederation of Employers in Madrid, Spain. According to President Buhari, for a number of decades, Spain has been one of Nigeria's most important trading partners. He said the country had been a major importer of Nigerian crude oil, noting that Nigeria's exports to Spain stood at $4.8 billion in 2020. The president added that Spain's exports to Nigeria increased from $97.2 million in 1995 to $517 million in 2020. He, however, maintained that a lot more could be done to increase the volume of trade. Meanwhile, President Buhari has called for global cooperation to avert a looming food crisis as the war between Russia and Ukraine rages. The president made the call in Madrid, Spain, at the Royal Palace during an audience with King Felipe VI in continuation of his visit to the country. The Spanish king said Nigeria was an important country and looked forward to an opportunity to visit the country, especially against the background of stronger cooperation being forged by both nations. President Buhari thanked the Spanish monarch and President Pedro Sanchez for the invitation and hospitality extended to him since his arrival, and said his country was anticipating increased bilateral relations between the two nations. In a related development, President Buhari has signed at least 9 agreements and memoranda of understanding with the Spanish government in Madrid, Spain. According to a statement by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity Femi Adesina, the agreements include treaty on mutual legal assistance in criminal matters, transfer of sentenced persons, extradition, economic and commercial cooperation, tourism and sports, health, fight against COVID-19, as well as science and innovation. In a meeting with his Spanish counterpart, President Pedro Sanchez, the Nigerian leader commended Sanchez for his leadership qualities and contributions to the war against terror in sub-Saharan Africa, especially in Mali. Still from the presidency, President Buhari has expressed happiness over the appointment of Bishop Peter Opaleke of Equilobia Diocese, Anambra State, as a cardinal in the Catholic Church by Pope Francis. In a statement signed by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, President Buhari thanked the Pope for finding a capable Nigerian in the person of Bishop Opaleke to be one of the 2 nominees from Africa. According to Shehu, President Buhari, who congratulated the Nigerian Christian community on the choice, described the cardinal designate as ably qualified, adding that having him in that position would benefit the country. Away from that, the suspended Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, has been released on bail by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. EFCC spokesperson Wilson Uwojarin confirmed the development to newsmen. It could be recalled that the EFCC had arrested Idris over an 80 billion naira fraud. The EFCC said Idris was arrested after failing to honor the Commission's invitations to respond to issues connected to the fraudulent act. Now to the judiciary. A federal high court in Abuja has scheduled hearing for tomorrow in the extradition proceedings initiated against suspended Assistant Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari by the federal government. Justice Inyako chose the date today to enable the Attorney General of the Federation file a formal response to Kyari's notice of primary objection challenging the competence of the extradition application filed by the AGF. The AGF applied to the court for permission to surrender Kyari to authorities of the United States in relation to his alleged link with international fraud suspect Abbas Rahman, who is popularly known as Hush Puppy. On education, the Universal Basic Education Commission is planning to construct 6 smart schools in the 6 geopolitical zones to the tune of 3.6 billion naira. This was confirmed in a statement signed by the UBEC's head of public relations, David Akbe, who noted that management of the commission had also commenced discrete efforts to ensure the full implementation of e-learning programs in basic education across the country. Akbe further explained that the capacity building for the different categories of stakeholders would include general training on ICT tools and facilities. In another development, members of the Nigeria Union of Pensioners have vowed to mobilize votes for any political aspirant who would uphold their interest. President of the union, Godwin Abumisi, who spoke to newsmen in Abuja, said the days when politicians wooed senior citizens for elective offices and ignored their plight after winning elections were over. Abumisi decried the non-compliance of some state governments in payment of members' entitlements and refusal of most to review the amount in line with the latest consequential adjustment of the pensions. In the run-up to the 2023 elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has expressed worry over the 20 million permanent voter cards still lying unclaimed in its vault. INEC's Deputy Director, Voter Education, Mary Nkem, raised the concern at the launch of the PVC Bus Drive project organized by a non-governmental organization, the Advocacy for Civic Engagement in Abuja. Nkem, who noted that it is votes and not social media that will determine the winners of the 2023 general elections, said previously printed PVCs uncollected were still available for collection by the owners at the INEC offices across the country. Still in politics, Rivers Governor Nyesom Wike has met with ex-Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and 2023 hopeful being the second in 48 hours. In a statement syndicated on his social media pages, Abubakar said he was proud of the promises the spirit of solidarity holds for the party as a united front that guarantees victory in the next election to rescue the country. Recall that Atiku defeated Wike and others to clinch the People's Democratic Party PDP ticket last Saturday. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Dom Emmanuel has denied making uncomplimentary remarks against any of the presidential aspirants in the just concluded PDP presidential primaries. Governor Emmanuel had an arrival in the state after the presidential primary election, granted an interview where he called on PDP faithful to support the presidential candidate of the party and described all the aspirants as competent to lead the country. But a section of the social media was reportedly awash with allegations that the governor made uncomplimentary remarks about other aspirants in the race. Fielding questions from Government House correspondents at the Victor Atta International Airport on return from a brief official trip to Abuja, Governor Emmanuel denied ever making such malicious comments and called on security agencies to clamp down on those who perpetuated the mischief and falsehood using the social media. Governor Emmanuel said such acts of falsehood should not be tolerated and insisted that politics should not degenerate into character assassination and selfish political gain. Still in Akwa Ibom State, the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS South-South region, have issued a 21-day ultimatum to the federal government to resolve its lingering issues with Academic Staff Union of Universities (ASU), so students can return to school or face total shutdown of economic activities across the region. The student body made the comment at the commencement of a region-wide protest which kick-started in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital. Addressing Nigerian students from the region during the protests, NAN's public relations officer Utabe Kanem said the body would continue with the planned peaceful protests across the region before waiting to see the federal government's reaction and deciding follow-up.
In a country where money is easily borrowed to fund what many will consider unfruitful ventures by the federal government, especially considering the millions currently exchanging hands within this electioneering period, the question on everyone's lips is, why is the federal government yet to grant ASU's demand for students to return to school? Activities were shut down along major federal government establishments en route, including the Federal Secretariat along a back road in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State yesterday, June 1st, in a region-wide peaceful protest by the South-South body of the National Association of Nigerian Students. The students who locked and blocked the entrance of the Federal Secretariat said the peaceful protest was their way of sending a strong message to the President Buhari-led federal government to prioritize education, settle its issues with the striking ASU and relevant unions so students can go back to school. Recall that ASU have been on strike since February and have insisted they will not call off the industrial action until the federal government honors its agreement reached with the union, which borders on revitalization funding, payroll, amongst others. Francis Edit, Spectrum TV News.
In Africa, Kenya has celebrated 59 years of self-rule as thousands gathered at the Uhuru Gardens of Nairobi to mark Madaraka Day. Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta addressed the nation before a large crowd with dignitaries such as the first couple of the Republic of Sierra Leone, the diplomatic corps William Ruto and politician Raila Odinga in attendance. Reports say for his last ceremony in office, Kenyatta urged his people to consider stability when voting at the next general elections on August 9.
On this day in June 1963, that our founding fathers of our nation replaced the outgoing colonial government and formed the first indigenous government of Kenya. These forthcoming elections, general elections, on the 9th of August 2022 is to choose peace and stability over fear, hope over hate, and progress over retrogression.
Still in Africa, hundreds of Sudanese protesters have rallied in front of the United Nations mission in the capital, Khartoum, to call for its dismissal. The rallies come as the UN Security Council is considering extending the mission's mandate beyond June 3, with many accusing the envoy of interfering in Sudan's internal affairs. The UN mission, along with the African Union and regional bloc IGAD, has been pushing to facilitate Sudanese-led talks to resolve the crisis. Meanwhile, military leader Abdel Fattah al-Burhan recently lifted the state of emergency imposed since the coup to set the stage for meaningful dialogue that achieves stability for the transitional period. Still to come in the news. Mali replaces D Tigers at FIBA World Cup after federal government's withdrawal. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. Moving now to the foreign scene, where a reportedly beaming Queen Elizabeth today waved to cheering crowds massed outside Buckingham Palace. This is as Britain kicked off 4 days of pomp, parties and parades to celebrate her record-breaking 70 years on the British throne. Tens of thousands of royal supporters waving flags lined the streets of London for a military parade that marked the start of Platinum Jubilee events. Millions of people across Britain and the world were expected to join street parties, watch the festivities, and light beacons in honor of the 96-year-old Queen. Elizabeth, who was holding a walking stick and wearing a dusky dove blue outfit that she also wore for an official Jubilee photograph, which was joined by her son and heir, the 73-year-old Prince Charles, and other senior royals on the balcony of Buckingham Palace. Reports say Elizabeth has been on the throne for longer than any of her predecessors and is the third longest reigning monarch ever of a sovereign state.
Buckingham Palace, where the Queen is standing.
Still on the foreign scene, the UK Defence Ministry has stated in a series of tweets that Russian forces had sustained losses after taking control of most of Severodonetsk amid the ongoing war against Ukraine. According to the UK, although Russia has taken control of most of Severodonetsk, the main road into the Severodonetsk pocket likely remains under Ukrainian control, even as Russia continues to make steady local gains enabled by a heavy concentration of artillery. Reports say it is likely Russia will need at least a short tactical pause to reset for opposed river crossings and subsequent attacks into Donetsk Oblast, where Ukrainian armed forces have prepared defensive positions. Meanwhile, Britain will offer work visas to graduates from the world's best universities in an expansion of its post-Brexit immigration system that is designed to attract the best and brightest workers. The government said under the scheme, graduates with a bachelor's or master's degree from the top 50 universities abroad can apply for a 2-year work visa and will be allowed to bring family members with them. Those who receive doctorates can apply for a 3-year visa. Reports say successful applicants will be able to switch to longer-term employment visas. Meanwhile, the most recent list of eligible universities from 2021, published online by the UK government, comprises more than 24 US universities, as well as institutions in Canada, Japan, Germany, China, Singapore, France, and Sweden. No African university is on the latest eligibility list, attracting accusations of discrimination against Africans. On our business news, World Bank economists Jonathan Lane and Jacob Engel say rising inflation, persistent population growth, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the war in Ukraine are threatening Nigeria's poverty reduction aspiration. In a post published on the bank's blog, Lane and Jacob said Nigeria's aspiration to lift all of its people out of poverty by 2030 presented a serious challenge. They added that even before COVID-19, 4 in 10 Nigerians live below the national poverty line, amounting to 80 million people. Still in business, according to a new industry statistics from the Nigerian Communications Commission, about 6.18 million global system for mobile communication subscribers joined the national network between January and April this year. Also, the number of active telephone connections per 100 inhabitants within all areas in Nigeria increased to 105.6%, amounting to 201.67 million subscriptions in April. The NCC's industry statistics show that the number of active GSM subscribers increased from 195.13 million in December 2021 to 201.31 million in April 2022. Reports say this is the first time the number of recorded subscribers in the nation is crossing 200 million since December 2020, when there were 204.15 million GSM subscribers in the nation. Now in health, the World Health Organization says smoking tobacco is driving the tuberculosis epidemic, leading to about 730,000 episodes of the disease. According to the global health body, individuals who smoke are more at risk of experiencing problems with their lungs, even after successful completion of tuberculosis treatment. The UN Health Agency said smoking tobacco slowed down tuberculosis recovery and is also linked with poor treatment outcomes, including relapse and death. Meanwhile, medical experts have recommended that specific punishment be outlined for persons who indulge in self-medication. Addressing newsmen, Dr. Nuhu Sule said such a measure was desirable considering the devastating effect of self-medication. He observed that more people had imbibed the habit of taking medicines without subjecting themselves to proper diagnosis, hence the need for a law that would stipulate punishment to serve as deterrent. In sports, the world governing body for basketball, FIBA, has replaced Nigeria's female basketball team, the D Tigers, with Mali for the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup 2022 in Belgrade. Nigeria was disqualified after President Muhammadu Buhari suspended the country from participating in all international basketball competitions and activities for 2 years. The president's withdrawal is said to be aimed at revamping the sports from the grassroots in Nigeria. Still in sports, Cyril Dessers has bid Feyenoord farewell, saying he might return to the club someday, despite their failure to sign him permanently. The 27-year-old, who was on a season loan at Feyenoord, scored 20 goals and recorded 6 assists in 44 games for the Dutch club. Now on to the entertainment scene. Jada Pinkett Smith has addressed the Oscar slap incident between her husband Will Smith and Chris Rock on the last episode of Red Table Talk. In the interview, Pinkett, who noted that the Red Table Talk on alopecia was important, stressed that she was using the moment to give people with alopecia an opportunity to talk about what it was. The actress said she hoped Smith and Chris found the opportunity to reconcile their differences and move past the Oscar incident. US actor Will Smith had assaulted comedian Chris Rock at the Oscars over jokes he made on his wife's medical condition.
My deepest hope is that these two intelligent, capable men have an opportunity to heal, talk this out, and reconcile. Will and I are continuing to do what we have done for the last 28 years, and that's keep figuring out this thing called life together. State of the world today, we need them both, and we all actually need one another more than ever.
That's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. My name is Xavier Robert. You have a terrific day.